Good afternoon, and welcome to our 6th edition of Ohio State University's Office of Diversity and Inclusion's Driving Change webinar, a dialogue and discussion format for our corporate and institutional partners focused on equity and inclusion in institutions, places of work, and corporate America. I am Kurt Ely, Executive Director of Corporate Relations at The Ohio State University, and I'm excited about today's topic of diversity in entrepreneurship and innovation. Before we begin, I would like to share a few brief logistics around today's event. First and foremost, we encourage your questions. They will be accepted using the Q&A function during the course of the webinar. Requests for follow-up can also be posted in the same manner. Future webinars are being planned for May and June and throughout the calendar year, so please be on the lookout for email invitations for those dates and topics. As a reminder, the webinar is being recorded and will be available following today's event. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce the host for this series, Dr. James Moore. Dr. Moore is the Vice Provost for Diversity and Inclusion and Chief Diversity Officer for The Ohio State University. Dr. Moore will introduce today's esteemed panelists who will expertly address the topic of diversity in entrepreneurship and innovation. Dr. Moore, the program is yours.
Thank you, Kurt. I'd like to thank Corporate Relations for helping us coordinate this event. I'm very excited about today's event because we have two of America's most illuminating, influential entrepreneurs in the United States. When I think about extraordinary, when I say brilliant, thoughtful, generous, compassionate, that's what I think of when I think about Dr. Robert Lee Wright and Dr. William Pickard. They are beloved Buckeyes. They walk the hollow grounds of The Ohio State University. I'm delighted to welcome them to our webinar series. They are no strangers to the business world. They are household names in Black enterprise, as well as across the United States. They're also household names in the community, as well as the philanthropic efforts that they support. Today, I give you a treat. This is a momentous occasion where we have two of our most beloved alums here to spend some time with us, to engage in intimate, thoughtful dialogue about their careers, as well as ways that corporate America and other entities in our society to make their places more inclusive and diverse. Now, their bios are so long that I could spend days talking about it. So I'm going to ask you to go back to the website to read their bios more closely. But I give to you Dr. Robert Wright and Dr. Pickard. Welcome to our webinar series today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, I want to start out, and I know that the audience will be glad to hear what your insights and hear some of your wisdoms. But let's first start out by saying, what role has The Ohio State University played in your life trajectory and, of course, in your business success? And if you don't mind, I'll start with Dr. Wright first.
Ohio State has played everything in all of my life. I came out of Spencer High School in Columbus, Georgia, and enrolled at Ohio State. And it was the experience of my life. I was an 18-year-old. I'd never been out of the South before. Educated in a segregated environment. My dad was a bricklayer, so whatever he had was hard. And I will always remember my dad because no matter where he was working, whether Dayton, Ohio, or Wilmington, Delaware, Joliet, Illinois, they just some of the names that I remember during the years. He would always take time to send money back to our family on weekends. I know we'll forget him for that, and that taught me responsibility. But Ohio State taught me to be a man, because what I did at Ohio State, I had to work hard for. I don't think I was as prepared for Ohio State as probably some kids from Ohio and other places, because of my inferior high school education in the South. However, I like to tell this story about when I was about to graduate. And my counselor called me to her office. I see Dr. Pickard smiling about that. Her name is Mrs. Marine. I never will forget her, a silver-haired lady in the College of Arts and Sciences. And I was prepared for bad news since graduation was only a few weeks away. But she told me how proud she was of me. And I asked her, well, I appreciate that. She said, but you don't understand. According to your test scores, you never should have been able to make it out of the first year at Ohio State University. I shook my head and I said, well, I'm glad you didn't tell me before now. Because I may have wanted to pack up and go back home. So I started at Ohio State doing remedial math and English. And, but I think that was probably good because I could master those pretty easily, but it gave me the courage to move on. So Ohio State, I give Ohio State credit for everything I've been able to do in my life.
Thank you. Dr. Pickard.
Well, obviously, Bob Wright's stories resonate with me. And the irony of life is that we were probably born 40 or 50 miles apart. And we didn't meet until we were probably 30 years of age or thereabouts. And I would like to say that Bob's life at Ohio State was pre-affirmative action. And my life at Ohio State was the affirmative action. Because my family had moved from down south to up south when I was in the 10th grade. And down south, I was president of the student body. I was editor of the student newspaper. And I got to Flint, Michigan, and my world changed drastically. And much like Bob, now I hate to say this because my daughter might hear this, but community college wouldn't even take me. The community college, Dr. Moore, would not take me in Flint, Michigan. His name was Earl J. Mahoney. He said to my mother, father, and my grandfather, who was an important part of my life, all three of them. He said, you guys have a nice boy here, but he's not college material. And I think you'd just be wasting your money. And Mr. Mahoney was not a bad guy. He was reading the test scores again. Yeah. And my mother, like any mother, black or white, said, just give him a chance.
Yeah.
So Dr. Moore, I went to Mott Community College and spent 3 years there. But those 3 years, Dr. Wright, like your 3 years, gave me a chance to reach back into what I had learned in LaGrange, Georgia, and reach down into the bowels of what my great-grandmother, my great-granddad had given me and said, never again. Never again will I permit anyone to tell me what I cannot do. And so when I hit Ohio State at the age of 27, I had graduated from the place up north with a master's. I had worked at the Cleveland NAACP for a couple of years, but Ohio State gave me another view of the world. I've always been a great reader, but Ohio State gave me an opportunity to meet other people from across the country, and Arps Hall became my refuge because I ran out of Cleveland. I worked in civil rights for 4 years, and that's a rough job. It's 24/7 and you're very idealistic. So Ohio State was a beacon and an island of refuge where I could still learn, earn, and return. I use those three words every day of my life because once I have learned, I have earned. But now I must return to the LaGrange, Georgias and the Flint, Michigans and the Detroit, Michigan, and help as much as I can. So Detroit was a great start. The place in Ann Arbor was a great start, but Columbus, Ohio State gave me the launching pad for my life.
Oh, humble beginnings, extraordinary endings. And when you think about, you got two doctors, certainly you had a trajectory already outlined for you. You know, Dr. Pickard, you were heading towards a professorate, potentially becoming a community college president.
That was my goal.
And Dr. Wright, you were an optometrist.
Yes.
So tell me about, how did you get in this business place? What led or what contributed the groundswell for you to go into business, and as well as what contributed to your business success? We'll start with you, Dr. Pickard, first.
Well, mine is just, again, and I know this sounds like pop psychology, but it's nothing but God and affirmative action. Remember now, in America in 1968, 1967, there was not one Black-owned McDonald's in America. And Cleveland, Ohio had a very, very successful boycott against McDonald's. And when that boycott was over, I ran to Columbus to seek refuge. As I said earlier, that struggle was a 24/7 kind of struggle. But ironically, I had made some impressions. And so while at Ohio State, I got a call about an opportunity to perhaps own a McDonald's one day. And obviously, I didn't have any money. I'm a doctoral student, but God, again, shows up and showed out. And so it was really, again, at that time, McDonald's regional office was in Columbus on Broad Street. And the gentleman that was doing the negotiation for McDonald's was headquartered in Columbus on Broad Street. And so I had kind of got to know him, and we would chat at the McDonald's right there on High Street. And he gave me the vision that if you could find some other guys like yourself that you think would make good McDonald's owners, we want to talk to them. And believe it or not, Dr. Moore, that's how it all started. And I know that God is able. Now, I won't bore you with cleaning bathrooms. And if people say, hey, Doc, you're not cleaning the bathroom? Well, I couldn't say I was an owner because nobody would believe me. But I was teaching at Wayne State University part-time. And my students would come to that restaurant on Saturday night. I have on that little red hat. They said, look, Dr. Pickard cooking hamburgers. And of course, you couldn't tell nobody you was an owner because nobody would believe you. So that was a part of the early challenge. And after that, I think America just opened the doors to a degree for a moment to permit people of color to have a fair bite at this entrepreneurial and business process of America.
Good.
Dr. Wright, what led to your successes and your trajectory in the business world?
Well, I majored in optometry at Ohio State. In fact, I'm the second African-American to graduate in the history of the Ohio State University College of Optometry. And actually, I practiced optometry for 20 years, 1 year in Columbus, Ohio, out on Mount Vernon and the 20th and Mount Vernon. And my mom came to visit. I just recently got married from a high school sweetheart. And she just finished nursing school and I finished optometry school. So we decided to go ahead and get married. So I got married when I was 23 and she was 21. And we moved to Columbus, Ohio because I only had a license to practice in Ohio. I didn't have a license to practice optometry in Georgia. My hopes were at that time that I would go to the military as a part of the Medical Service Corps. And, but when you fill out your physical forms on those medical records, they ask you, have you had this, have you that, have you that, asthma? And I say, I check yes. Well, I had asthma when I was a baby, but I didn't have it when I was an adult. But that they disqualified me for giving me my commission as a second lieutenant and sending me into a hospital someplace so I could examine eyes and make glasses. It's not like I was going to be out in the field carrying a rifle or anything like that, but I think that was 1961. And I would like to think that things back then a lot worse than they are now, but there's some things now even bother me a lot. But anyway, since I didn't have a license, they turned me down for my commitment. But then they turned around and wanted to draft me into the Army. And I had to go to Fort Benning, which is right here in Columbus, Georgia, to do a physical. Well, since they say I had asthma, I made sure that I had asthma symptoms when I went out there to take that physical. Because if they weren't going to let me go in as an officer, I sure was not going to let them take me in as an enlisted. And so that didn't happen. But right after that, a friend of mine came and told me that there were 2 positions available for optometrists at Martin Army Hospital on the base. So I went out, put on my one good suit, went out to Fort Benning, walked in the office, looked up on the board. There were 2 positions, optometry 1 and optometry 2. So I told a lady behind the desk who really asked me, well, what do you want? It's 1961. Just a little bit better now. But I said, I'd like to apply for one of these positions for optometry. And she looked at me like I was really crazy. She couldn't believe it. So she went and got the big, thick book. She said, well, in order for you to apply for one of these jobs, you would have had to graduate from an accredited school of optometry. And I proudly say, I graduated from the Ohio State University. She said, oh, and she kept reading. She said, well, you need to be licensed to practice in at least 1 state. And I said, well, I'm licensed to practice in the state of Ohio. Then she said, wait a minute. So she went back in the other office and a boss came up and he went through the same thing with me that she had gone through. And then he said, you need to come back here in a couple of days. We need to check this out. In a couple of days, I got up. I put on that same suit I had, which is the only one I had. And I went back out to Fort Benning. And they had erased those positions off the board. They just eliminated them on their own. And of course, what could I do? Where could I go? There's no EEOC, there's nobody. So the bottom line was, I couldn't go to the Army, wasn't licensed practice in Georgia, so I had to go where I had my only license, which was back to Columbus, Ohio. So I went back to Columbus. I practiced up there a year out on Mount Vernon with one of our Alpha brothers, Dr. Bland, R. Bland. He had an office out there and had an extra suite, and I took that. But then my mother came up. I wish I could make this story a little shorter, but I think it's important. My mother came up and told, sometime in May, and told June and I, my wife, that a lot of my friends down in Columbus, Georgia, going to jail because they boycotted and riding the buses. And I said right then and there, I need to go home. I need to go home because I felt I could do more in Columbus, Georgia than I could in Columbus, Ohio, and make a difference. And that's basically what I did. I practiced 1 year in Columbus, Ohio, 19 years in Columbus, Georgia. But as Bill Pickard said, God takes us where he wants us to go. And I got involved in politics. That's how I met Bill Pickard. And I ended up going to Small Business Administration after President Reagan won. And that gave me some exposure as to how to do business in Washington. And I learned that lesson well. And I came out and started another business. So I like to tell people that optometry gave me the vision to see some other opportunities. Okay. And that's how it all started. Sorry it took me so long. I had to go all around it to make the point, but
Well,
that's my story.
it's a beautiful story, and you both share beautiful stories. Dr. Wright, you know, we want to thank you for your leadership in Washington, D.C. Many generations to come, long after my generation, we'll all be able to enjoy the contributions that African Americans have made. You chaired the committee that produced the National Museum for African American History and Culture. In my opinion, is one of the magnificent facilities in the world that capture those stories. Who would have ever known that little boy from Columbus, Georgia would have played a tremendous role in that? And so not only you had a vision for your professional life, but you had a vision for others.
Thank you.
So I appreciate that. I want to kind of pivot a little bit. You all are two successful professionals, highly esteemed in a lot of different circles, and literally done won almost every award that you can think about. You probably have to build a whole suite in your house for all the accolades. But some way you've been able to keep your personal touch, your humble beginnings. Why is philanthropy is important? Because every time I turn around, I hear your names connected quietly. Why is philanthropy important to you? We know you're successful business people. You almost, some of the things that you highlighted, I'm gleaning. You said it wasn't, things are not like it was in the 60s, but also, you know, I'm gonna draw inference, but I think I'm hearing that we still haven't went as far as we can go. And I'm sure you have stories in your business, but why is philanthropy important to you? We'll start with you, Dr. Wright.
Well, I think it's important to be able to give back. I mean, that's the bottom line. I was reading my daily readings the other day, and it talked about the face of Jesus. The face of Jesus could be anybody, any place, anywhere. And I pulled up to a traffic light the other day, and there was a panhandle out there. And I reached out the window and I gave him a little donation, because that also could have been the face of Jesus. So I just think it's important that we've been blessed, that we bless others. And I think it's simple as that.
Thank you. Dr. Pickard.
Well, as I think Dr. Wright said on a couple of occasions, that the civil rights movement gave impetus to what I'm going to refer to as affirmative action and civil rights movement. And I have no illusions that most of my success, my opportunities, not necessarily the success, but the opportunities that I have been afforded was because so many Black men and women and white men and women of good mind fought to have Blacks as owners of fast service restaurants. They fought to have Blacks as dealers and suppliers. They fought to have Blacks as ownership in casinos. I didn't do any heavy lifting. I was the right person in the right place with a little bit of money. So I owe a debt to a lot of folk, but especially the folk in Detroit. And this is a good example about Bob Wright's leadership. When he chaired that first committee to create that museum, which is magnificent, I'm a history buff, I had given at that time, I think about $1 million to the Detroit Charles H. Wright Museum. And my family and I were discussing, do we put more money into Detroit or do we also do something in DC? And like any boy from LaGrange, Georgia, I called the king, I called Dr. Wright. He said, well, wait a minute, Bill, let me get the lady on the phone that's gonna take your money. And so that was why I went in that direction, because of Bob Wright. And I think all of us have these responsibilities. I don't care whether you're Black or white. The privileges that we enjoy, in most cases, is because a lot of men, a lot of women paid the price for us to have these opportunities. And therefore, I believe strongly, strongly that we have to give forward.
Come back to you, Dr. Pickard. You know, you have many businesses, you know, got a major portfolio, and we just the country it just experienced, the world, a major global pandemic that has affected everyone. Tell me, what are some of the grand challenges that Black business owners have to face, and how have these challenges got worse as a result of COVID?
Well, obviously I have an advantage because I don't have an MBA, I don't have a CPA, and I'm not a finance major, you know. Therefore, I believe very strongly, that while money is critical to any success in business or perhaps in life, management will take you to the heights or will put you out. So even though we're all struggling daily for these pivoting kinds of opportunities, I believe great managers find a way out of bad situations. I have some help because I'm not a learned man with an MBA. God and I have gotten through some situations that my bankers and lawyers told me, you'll never make it. And I say to myself, you ain't seen what God can do yet. So I know it sounds like pop psychology, but let me tell you, I have another person with me at all times. And maybe it's because my mom and grandmama prayed so hard. I don't know what it is, but I really do believe that this crisis, and remember, for every challenge creates opportunities. I'm told in the Japanese language, the symbol for crisis and opportunity are the very same. So I know a lot of people who have prospered tremendously in this crisis. And I know some people who've not done as well. From a personal standpoint, not because I'm so brilliant, most of my businesses are doing better than they did before. So it's, again, the ability to stay focused, hire and attract outstanding people, and I believe diverse people help. So I am very optimistic about those of us who've been given these opportunities. I just wish corporate America would understand that we bring great value and make more opportunities available to Black people as well as people of color.
Thank you. Dr. Wright, what are some of the grand challenges that Black businesses are enduring, and particularly under these times around COVID?
Well, Black businesses have always had a challenge with access to credit and capital. And during the pandemic, and some of those businesses have probably got a lot worse. And particularly the smaller mom and pops and folks who just, you know, have their own businesses and sort of living in hand to mouth. it's been really tough. And, but I hope there's a way out. I do see other opportunities. And I think as we get through this crisis, I think you'll see more Black entrepreneurs getting back in businesses or expanding the businesses that they already have.
What role do universities like Ohio State play in diversifying corporate America? Okay, Dr. Pickard.
Well, obviously, I think Dr. Wright is better prepared to answer that than I am, but you know, the Academy has produced all of these outstanding titans of industry. They all have walked the halls of the place up north or the place in Indiana or the great place in Columbus. So as you do your alumni stuff, as you do your development stuff, you ought to be encouraging them to increase the width of looking for talent. I believe the Bob Wrights of the world and the Bill Pickards of the world have always been here. Lady told Bob Wright, you were not supposed to get beyond the first year.
That's right.
Man told me, my mama and my daddy in front of me, this boy ain't college material. Now, they were not bad people. They were not bad people. They were simply reading the test score. They had my aptitude score, but they didn't have my attitude score. So I would encourage corporate America to look for the many, many young Black men and women who are graduating from the Ohio State, the historically Black colleges, and look beyond just the GPA. Look at their experience in extracurricular activity. Look at their experience in their fraternities and sororities and extracurricular activities.
Dr. Wright.
I can't add more to what Dr. Pickard has just said, but test scores do not determine success. Has to be a lot more than that. Has to be determination. Sometimes you just have to have the ability to just gut it out. And that's in anything that we do, whether it's school or business, an organization or whatever. And we just have to have that fortitude, that fight, that tenacity never to give up. And I think with that, anything can happen. So Ohio State can be a tremendous force, not only in academia, but also in the corporate world, because Ohio State has a lot of influence. You know, sun never sets on Ohio State.
Sounds like you all speak fondly of the institution, and we really appreciate you doing that, because the institution is more than bricks and mortar. It's individuals like yourself that make the institution what it is. You know, just kind of thinking about the, you know, here and now, what are some of the bright spots in terms of your values and the things that mean a lot to you, that you see that Ohio State is going in the right direction, based on some of your values and your perspectives, that you just say, wow, that's a good thing about my beloved alma mater? Dr. Wright.
Well, I see, I look at your program as an example. I think your program is a wonderful program, and what you've been able to do and accomplish for these kids is fantastic. And I think you can see that it makes a difference. The test scores are going up. I understand the GPAs are, your students have great GPAs. Some of them getting special, becoming special scholars at certain places and things like that. And I can't say enough good things about what you're doing with these kids. And you're really developing a foundation. I got my alumni magazine the other day. I saw those 3 young ladies on that magazine. And that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And so I want to congratulate you for what you're doing for those kids on behalf of the university.
Thank you. Dr. Pickard.
I don't want this to sound like a cheering squad for Dr. Moore and your visionary leadership, but it is what it is.
It is. It is.
And I tell you, young man, when I met you, I said to Dr. Wright, Dr. Wright, this young man is for real. And I think we invited you down to one of the symposium Dr. Wright gives every year before the pandemic. You came down and you saw the excellence that he attracts wherever he goes and in that room on that particular day. But I've also read about your new president and her entrepreneurial engineering mindset. And that is impressive because I believe she will take us to even greater heights. But I would argue that there are a lot of people out here that simply need a chance. I have no qualms with the bright people like Bob Wright. I admire smart people. I try to hire them. They're great employees. But there are a lot of Bill Pickards out here who might not have the highest test scores, who might not have but a 22 or 23 on the ACT. But if you give us a chance in the right environment with the right kind of counseling and nurturing, we can be a great taxpayer rather than a tax user for America.
And I agree with Bill. And when I told my story to one of our past president, Dr. Gordon Gee, he told me, he said, you know what? You cannot determine what's in a student's heart. And just by testing. And so you're giving these kids an opportunity and to develop some skills and then letting them know that there's somebody or something behind them pushing them. And I think that makes a big difference. You're making a difference. Your program is a big difference maker, believe me.
Thank you. Take a few questions from the audience. To diversify corporate America, what do you think should be the corporate philosophy for diversifying corporate America?
I know this is, I'll say success or winning. And I know most people here don't remember the name Branch Rickey. But Branch Rickey was the chief executive officer of the Brooklyn Dodgers back in the 40s. And Major League Baseball after World War II was not getting all of the butts in the seats. And Branch Rickey had the vision to go out and find the right kind of Negro baseball player that could electrify the game. And Jackie Robinson changed baseball, but he also changed America. And I would say that we have Jackie Robinsons waiting to go into corporate America. Some are male, some are female, but we're out here. And I hope and pray that by now, most CEOs should know that diversity will make your organization, your corporation better, much better to compete in a global world.
Dr. Wright, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts are pretty much in line with Dr. Pickard. Very competitive world out here. And the better prepared we are, the better we are able to cope with the challenges that are out there. So.
Well, you know, Dr. Pickard, you talked about our new president, President Johnson, and leading us to a new frontier for the university. And OSU is initiating a large-scale enterprise on the West Campus. So we're developing the West Campus that will involve public and private collaborations. Do you have any thoughts on how to attract more African-American led businesses to the West Campus effort so OSU can lead the way for new entrepreneurs?
I think there are some targeted businesses that might exist on your campus because of research and development. My foundation in automotive was plastics. And I know that as a company with only, I guess we have about 4,000 employees, to be able to be in close proximity and affiliated with a major research institution where the chemists are developing new products and new technologies, you would listen to those kinds of opportunities. And of course, I don't apologize. We want incentives. We want things that can help us level the playing field, because no matter how many dollars we have in Black enterprise, we're still not able to compete with some of the global enterprises that exist. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't bring the quality and the cost and the delivery, but we have a long ways to go. And sometime if you can affiliate with someone that can help you with your research and development, that speeds up your opportunity to compete in a global economy. I would say the answer is yes.
Thank you. Dr. Wright, any thoughts?
Yeah, business is global. It's not just parochial. And we need to make sure that we're looking over the horizon for new ideas, new opportunities. I mean, who would have thought that we'll be seeing a little helicopter flying around on Mars? So we need to be forward in our thinking, deliberate in our action, and committed to our goals.
Coming down to the end, but I would be remiss if I didn't ask this question. What do you want your legacy to be, and why? Dr. Wright.
Well, I like my legacy to be that I've been able to accomplish some things for me, my family, my community, but I was able to give back and to pull some of those up that needed help. I can't say why God put me on that commission for the museum. I can't say why God put Bill and I on the Martin Luther King Memorial, but we were there. And we thank God for it. And to the extent my legacy can be that I made a contribution that's very meaningful, and at the same time, I helped some of those that were less fortunate.
Dr. Pickard.
Doc, well, obviously, mine is very similar to Bob, except now remember, the irony of our lives, we were probably born less than 50 miles from each other in Columbus, Georgia, and LaGrange, Georgia. I think Bob graduated in 59.
60.
60?
Right.
And I came in 1969. So all of the Bob Wrights that laid that foundation so that when affirmative action and other things did occur, we were able to walk through those doors that Nelson, who was in charge of Black Studies, I believe, or Adam Don Bourgeois, who was over in Arps Hall in the School of Education. These men and women made some contributions that made my generation, and I'm gonna call us the affirmative action generation in 1968, 69 when I arrived, they made our lives possible and a little bit easier perhaps. But I just want my legacy to be very simple. That an ordinary guy walked in here, and by the grace of God and a lot of tutelage from Ohio State, he went out and did extraordinary things and did something to help Black folks in the communities where he did business.
Thank you. I'm gonna give you, 1 minute and closing remarks, because you certainly deserve it. And I'm thankful that we are recording this, because I'm sure many of the students who walk the hallways of Hale Hall will certainly be refreshed and rejuvenated by some closing remarks from you. So any closing remarks that you would like to make, I'm gonna give each of you 1 minute, and you can any kind of remarks you want. It can be directed at a student, the university, or whomever, because you have that right. So I'll start with Dr. Pickard.
I would simply say that first, to the university, be inclusive, be creative, reach for the least of God's children. And I would say to the students, look at Bob's life, look at my life, and remember one thing: you can do this. You can do this.
Thank you. Dr. Wright.
I would just like to direct my remarks at the university, because the university was what I gained from Ohio State became the foundation of my life. From the teachers to the students to our fraternity Alpha, to our relationships that I had. I grew up at Ohio State. I came, as I said earlier, I came from the South with what was an inferior education, inferior preparation. But Ohio State gave me an opportunity to grow, develop into a man, and I feel good about what the university did for me, and I want to thank Ohio State.
On behalf of the Office of Diversity, Inclusion, and Corporate Connections, I just want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. But more importantly, I just thank you for embracing excellence, but not only embracing it, but summoning people like myself and others who look up to you, giving us a model that we can emulate, and making things possible when it seemingly seems like it's impossible. We just thank you. You two are two of our most beloved alums, and you loved, you cared for, you're celebrated in the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. And so we just thank you. And at this time, I'm going to give the balance of my time to Kurt Ely. Thank you.
James, thank you. And wow, what a session. Dr. Pickard, Dr. Wright, thank you so much for sharing your time, your insights, being the leaders that you've been, sharing the stories, experiences, and the participation. You're definitely an example for anyone to follow, and tremendous webinar today. So thank you. Thank you. I'd also like to thank all the participants for taking time to share a part of your day with us. You'll receive a follow-up email with links to the recorded webinar. And if you're like me, I will go back and watch this many times. Contact information for any request can be also requested through that connection to the website, as well as additional information and follow-up. Thank you all, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you.